Welcome back to our video series about the science, philosophy, and metaphysics behind information field technology. In Chapter 4, we're going to talk about interaction between consciousness, information field, and physical noise generator entanglement. Up until now, we have learned that information is fundamental as energy, and as fundamental as the processes that connect energy and information. Secondly, the possibility of an information field that guides the actions of reality from within was described. The influence of the whole on the part, guiding the way of the part in this world from within, that is the information field. David Bohm formalized this very interesting concept in the concept of quantum potential. We can all feel this influence within ourselves in practice. Often we may think, I am only a very small part of this world, a lost soul in an ocean of material energy, lost in the ocean of reality. And yet, there is a representation of the whole within me, a small energy, informing me, lending me guidance. This is the information field, the quantum potential. The third part is about how to communicate with the information field. We already know how to do this. Listen to the inner voice. Listen to your consciousness. Listen to the soul of the soul within the soul. We can do this ourselves without any technology. In order to communicate with the information field in a technical way, physical noise generators based on quantum processes are used. Physical noise generators are semiconductors based on p-n junctions, creating quantum noise. There was an article by Carlo Bienacker and Christian Schonenberger called Quantum Shot Noise. Fluctuations in the flow of electrons signal the transition from particle to wave behavior, published in Physics Today in 2003. Derek Abbott commented on this article, asking, to what extent is thermal noise a result of a quantum world? The answer is that 2/3 of thermal noise is based on quantum events. This means that a physical noise source can be interpreted as a quantum sensor, which is based on quantum fluctuations of the quantum vacuum, producing electron-positron pairs. The Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Laboratory, or PAIR Lab, conducted experiments on how the consciousness or the intention of observers influences physical random processes, especially the data of physical noise generators since the early 90s or late 80s. Here you will see a display of the results of physical noise generators. They put people in front of such a display to influence the noise data with their consciousness. In this example, the intention was to either influence the graph to move up or down. Over several decades, they found a statistically highly significant deviation from the expected value of the random hypothesis in their experiments. In the middle part, you see a typical graph of the control group, which was not influenced. On top, you see a typical graph of a curve produced by someone who wanted to influence it to move up. On the bottom, there is a typical graph of a curve influenced by someone who wanted to move it downwards. PAIR Lab published many papers on their findings. Henry Stapp considered how to modify quantum field theory in order to describe such phenomena, as orthodox quantum theory does not take into account the fact that the observer influences the outcome of the observation. An unorthodox modification of quantum theory is required in the form of an additional nonlinear term in the Schrödinger equation, so quantum theoretical formalism allows for the influence of the observer's brain state or consciousness on the observed objects. Orthodox quantum theory never provided this option, a big mistake that was made over and over again, as was made very clear by Stapp. Boeing research scientist Helmut Schmidt performed the same experiments in Germany as PAIR Lab in Princeton, also with success. One of his main publications on the subject from 1997 is called Random Generators and Living Systems as Targets in Retro-PK Experiments, PK meaning psychokinesis. Retro-psychokinesis means that physical random data recorded 6 months ago was successfully influenced. The experiment showed results similar to those at PAIR Lab. It actually does not really matter if the data was recorded 6 months or 6 years ago, or if it's live data you're trying to influence. If no one has observed it yet, it follows the exact same mathematics. Henry Stapp authored a paper with another modification of the Schrödinger equation to allow for this kind of unexpected effect. Another comprehensive example of the interaction of physical noise generators, the information field, and consciousness is Dr. Roger Nelson's Global Consciousness Project. Dr. Nelson placed 80 physical noise generators, which he calls REGs, or random event generators, all over the world, connected through the internet. With the help of this large network of noise generators, he is recording their accumulated deviation from the expected values in a server at Princeton University called the Noosphere. In the middle part of this diagram, you can see the expected value, which would be 0, meaning equal distribution of zeros and ones. Above it, you see the confidence intervals 0.05 and 0.001. Above those two lines, you can see the actual data, which was measured at 459 special worldwide events. They predefined 459 specific events like the World Football Championship, Christmas, spiritual festivals, and reviewed the data. They found a very strong deviation from the normal distribution. Dean Radin, the director of the Institute of Noetic Studies, and Roger Nelson published their findings in Foundations of Physics, titled Evidence for Consciousness-Related Anomalies in Random Physical Systems. Roger Nelson found that the more emotionally affecting the events were to people, the stronger the effect in the data. American psychiatrist Dr. Richard Blasband taught at Yale and published an important paper called The Ordering of Random Events by Emotional Expression. He measured the data of a noise generator that was running in a building next to another building where psychotherapy was conducted with 72 people. The therapy consisted of 3 different phases. The first one was talking. In the second phase, the subjects became angry because their psychological pain points were triggered, and in the last phase, they let go of their traumas, for example, by crying. In this graph, you can see the recorded data of the noise generator for all 3 phases. In the middle part, you see the first phase, when only talking took place, being mostly within the confidence interval. At the top, you see the anger phase, rising sharply, short but intense. On the bottom, you see the emotional release, the anxious crying, where the curve moves strongly to the other side. This shows that physical noise generators seem to be very sensitive to what is happening in the information field.